You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Max Darrow. Here's a look at our news headlines. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife arrived in the United States last night after being captured by U.S. forces. The couple faces accusations of drug trafficking and working with gangs the U.S. has designated as terrorist organizations. These are claims Maduro has repeatedly denied. He's now being held at a federal detention center in Brooklyn. According to legal analysts, Maduro could appear in court as soon as tomorrow. Starting today, Oakland's parking rules are changing. Meters will run citywide from noon to 6 p.m. on Sundays. You won't get a ticket right away because a 30-day warning period kicks in first. But after that, citations will happen for all violators. The goal is to boost parking turnover and help out local businesses. Officials say it builds on past pilot programs designed with the same purpose, especially in busy spots like Lake Merritt. Despite the Niners losing at Levi's Stadium last night against the Seahawks, fans say the Super Bowl dream lives on. Playoffs now shifting to the road. A march is set for today across the Golden Gate Bridge to show support for the team. Fans will meet at Equator Coffee in the Bridge Plaza, march to the bridge's halfway point, and come back. Now let's get a check on our First Alert forecast with meteorologist Zoe Mintz on this First Alert weather day.
We saw a lot of rain across the Bay Area over the past several days, and I want to take a look at some of their 24-hour rain totals because just in one day, they've been pretty impressive across a lot of the Bay Area. We'll start farther south, down near Monterey, Santa Cruz, Salinas. You saw anywhere from a quarter of an inch to a tenth of an inch, kind of just depending on where you're located. Santa Cruz, definitely highest totals, about a half of an inch. Farther inland and up across our inland East Bay communities, there was some nice, healthy totals. Concord, 0.61 inches. That was actually more than we saw here in San Francisco. Novato, 0.73 inches. Oakland actually saw more than that. So widespread, very, very healthy rain totals. Again, just over the past 24 hours, and these totals are only going to increase over the next 24 hours as more widespread rain is on the way. So let's take a look at what we can expect throughout the rest of this afternoon, because again, today, widespread rain is going to continue. If we take a look at the bottom right corner of the screen, look at the timestamp, basically all day, it's going to be raining. It's not until the evening hours that we're expecting most of the rain to eventually move out of our hair. Just in time for dinner, honestly, for our North Bay and Peninsula communities. Inland East Bay might still be seeing a little bit of that activity lingering around, but it's going to be mostly dry throughout the later evening hours, but then overnight and into early tomorrow morning, more widespread rain will be heading our way. It's not going to be nearly as heavy tomorrow as today, but it's still going to be something, and it's still going to be impacting you if you have any outdoor plans. So an umbrella will be necessary Monday afternoon. By the evening hours, we'll be seeing quieting conditions, and by Tuesday and into Wednesday, a lot more sunshine, a lot drier weather will be on the way. Fantastic news for any outdoor plans this upcoming week. You just have to get through Monday to really actually be able to enjoy yourself. How much rain can we expect, though? Again, it will be coming in two waves, the first today, the second tomorrow. Total values, though, anywhere from an additional half of an inch across our inland East Bay and North Bay communities to upwards of an inch to 3 inches the farther south you go, and the potential for Monterey to see 2 to 4 inches of rain over the next 24 hours. That is fantastic news. That is going to be a very, very healthy start to this new year when it comes to those rainfall totals. Winds today, nothing crazy, nothing to worry about. Tomorrow, they'll be a little bit breezier, 25 to 35 miles an hour as the end of that storm system moves through, and then everybody will be seeing quieter and drier conditions. In fact, just look at our rain chances after tomorrow. They are completely down to basically zero. There was at one point the potential for a little bit of rain on Wednesday, but that potential is lowered and lowered, and it doesn't look like we'll be seeing basically anything here in the Bay Area. An additional foot to foot and a half of snow is possible on the highest elevations of the Sierra, about a half of a foot on the lower elevations near Lake Tahoe. And even though we aren't going to be seeing anything when it comes to rain, when it comes to the Bay Area Wednesday and Thursday, the mountains could potentially see an additional half of a foot of snow on Wednesday from that storm system. So, hey, we'll be seeing basically all week long active weather in the Sierra. That is great news for all of you skiers and snowboarders, and enjoy the chilly weather while you can, because look at what happens by next week. Those temperatures warm up. San Francisco will be back into the mid to lower 60s by the time that we step out next week. So we have a ways to get through until then, but I want everyone to have something to look forward to when it comes to beautiful weather to get outdoors and enjoy yourself. The beautiful weather, though, not going to be coming for the next couple of days, though. You're still going to need that umbrella all the way through Monday.
While the coastal flood advisory for the Bay Area is set to expire this afternoon, the Bay Area is expected to see more rain today and tomorrow. It's already been a very wet weekend. Video right here is from Pier 14 at the Embarcadero Saturday. This is one of the hot spots to see the king tide. The water turns some of the right lanes there into small rivers. People walking along the water say they were shocked to run into this.
This is crazy. You can see it goes into the street. The cars are driving through it. It's interfering with pedestrians just walking as well as bikes. It goes literally all the way into the Embarcadero. So it's pretty severe.
I've lived here for almost 10 years and I've been doing this walk almost every day, and I have never seen it actually flood like this despite all of the signs that say potential flooding.
Yeah, it was not here when I came, and then when I was just headed back in like maybe 30 minutes, it just, yeah.
I knew there was gonna be one, but I didn't really think I'd see it. You know, I thought it'd be more of like something I just heard about, but it's cool to see.
The people who thought it was a lot were right. It was the most since 1988 in the city. By the Exploratorium, they held an educational event for people to safely observe and learn about the king tides coming in. You just saw Lori Lambertson. She's the staff educator at the Exploratorium. She says these tides will one day become the new norm.
These tides are going to be the normal high tides of the future because of sea level rise. And so this really gives us an opportunity to look at something that will happen in the future and prepare for it. Prepare to protect the communities and the infrastructure.
This video here is flooding in the North Bay. This was at Riviera Circle in Larkspur. Communities in Marin County really have been hit especially hard from these king tides. Video now we're going to show you comes from the flooding in Kentfield, just north of Larkspur. You can see this kid trudging on his bike through the water right there. It's probably a couple of inches deep at least. And this was the scene on Friday. Our chopper flew over a neighborhood that was submerged in water in Corte Madera. Water going about halfway up those car tires right there. Roads and businesses were shut down as a result. And we saw workers at this gym trying to keep the water out of the building. We also saw people trying different ways to get around. One truck was caught on camera right here, plowing through floodwaters, creating a big wave for that kayaker next to it. This is in a neighborhood off of a low-lying part of Highway 101 near the Lucky Drive exit and Corte Madera Creek. The king tide's also causing trouble along the central coast. Scott Rates joins us from Monterey County, where the tides have risen several feet above normal.
When a storm starts brewing and the sun, moon, and earth align, sea otters start chilling here by the parking lot.
I've never seen it flood as far as I saw it today.
So what's the highest you've ever seen it here?
This has got to be it.
The king tide's flooding some areas here at the Moss Landing Harbor Friday morning. Time-lapse video showing the rise of the tides over 1 hour. You can see the water pushing into the parking lot of the harbor, covering spaces.
This time of year, during the king tides, the tides can get up to 6.5 feet.
The tide's rising to at least 6 feet for a short period of time here. It's the highest it's been here in many years.
We do boat tours out on the Elkhorn Slough.
That poses problems for Joe Mancino. He owns Elkhorn Slough Safari.
We have to get from the Moss Landing South Harbor here into the slough, and to do so we have to get under the Highway 1 bridge, which is kind of tricky to do if the tide's above 5 feet.
I drove through it as fast as I could and sprayed all the people standing on the sidelines just because I could.
Tom Hart has owned a boat here for over 52 years. He has never seen the sea level this high.
It was like all the way across the road, and it filled the whole parking lot at the dock.
The king tides occur because of the alignment of the sun and the moon.
Mike Beck is the director for the Center for Coastal Climate Resilience at UC Santa Cruz. He says so far this winter, we've actually been fortunate.
This year, we've been somewhat fortunate that they haven't been combined in so far with really significant storm events. You're going to see extreme highs and lows, remember, associated with these events.
A little further down the coast at Asilomar, surfers taking advantage of the tides.
I mean, it definitely has a factor. It's breaking a little bit closer to shore.
And now with another storm moving in, everyone here will be keeping a close watch on the wind and the water.
Still ahead on CBS News, Bay Area crab season. Supposed to start on Monday, but the boats are staying docked until further notice. The dispute pitting crabbers against restaurateurs and retailers.
We, of course, want the price to be as low as it can so we can pass that on to our guests.
We've waited for like a month and a half. What's a couple more days?
Plus, we are learning more about the man who was shot and killed while working at an East Bay IHOP. We'll hear from his family as they try to make sense of what happened. The delayed local commercial Dungeness crab season was supposed to finally start on Monday. But seafood lovers are just going to have to wait a little bit longer for their local crab because of a pricing dispute. And Da Lin reports bad weather is also a factor here that's keeping boats docked near Fisherman's Wharf.
All these crab boats were supposed to head out on Friday morning to drop their pots. That would have allowed fishermen to retrieve them and sell the crabs on Monday when the commercial season opens. But everything is being pushed back due to high winds and a pricing holdout. It smells even better than it looks, but if you want local Dungeness crab, you'll have to wait a few more days.
We're not going to drop until, at the earliest, probably Monday or Tuesday.
On Friday, commercial fisherman Jonathan Ten loaded up 2 boats full of crab pots at the wharf. High winds and big ocean waves just off the San Francisco coast made it too dangerous to make the drops.
We've waited for like a month and a half. What's a couple more days, you know? At least if the weather gets nice, we can go out there and do it safely. We don't have to risk our lives doing a job that's really, really dangerous.
On top of the bad weather, Bay Area fishermen are holding out for higher pricing. John Barnett is the president of the San Francisco Crab Boat Owners Association. He says fishermen want 50 to 75 cents more per pound from fish markets and wholesale buyers. Until both sides can agree on a price, the boats will stay put.
That's not expected to be a tremendous amount of crabs out here, so we want to get the most money that we can for them and make this a season, especially without our salmon seasons the last few years.
Fishermen like Jonathan say they're barely surviving, with the season once again delayed from November to January due to whale migration.
Not starting in November is really hard for us because we miss out on the holiday price with Thanksgiving and Christmas. And also the gear reduction's hard too. We're going on 60% stack.
This season, the state is also limiting fishermen to 60% of their allowable pots.
So we have a 350 pot permit, so 60% of that is 210.
Lower price will mean pass it along to the consumer.
Right now, the crabs being sold at markets and restaurants are coming from Oregon and Washington. Bob Hartright runs 5 restaurants at Pier 39, including Crab House.
When it is local Dungeness crab season and we can offer local crabs, we tend to see an increase in crab sales.
Jonathan hopes to deliver fresh local Dungeness crabs soon, but says all the conditions have to be right.
This is the first year we bought the boat, and we're excited to get out and start hauling in some crab.
Both sides are hoping to settle the pricing dispute by Monday. If that happens and the weather cooperates, the fishermen would head out on Tuesday and could return as early as Wednesday. Some of them will sell directly off of their boats at Pier 45 and Pier 47. No middleman.
Dungeness crab season has faced delays every year for the last 5 years, mostly due to protecting wildlife, whales migrating off California's coast. A federal appeals court in San Francisco just handed down a major ruling on California gun rights. A panel of judges on the Ninth Circuit says the state's ban on open carry goes too far and violates the Constitution. In a 2-1 decision, 2 Trump-appointed judges struck down the ban on openly carrying firearms in counties with more than 200,000 people. It means about 95% of the state. The ruling says the law clashes with a 2022 Supreme Court ruling that requires gun laws to align with the nation's historic traditions. The state had argued that open carry creates panic and puts law enforcement officers in tough positions, but the majority said the concern does not override constitutional rights. California Attorney General Rob Bonta is reviewing the ruling and may appeal. A family is grieving the loss of their loved one. Mario Garcia was shot and killed at an IHOP in Richmond, where he had only just recently started working. Police say he was killed by one of his co-workers, and now Garcia's family is just beginning to process what happened. Here's Brad Hamilton.
Romario Rosso Garcia's family is heartbroken. His mother, speaking through a family member who translated, says that there are no words to describe the loss of her son.
She doesn't have any words to explain the pain and what it feels like to be in this situation.
On Monday, Romario, 31 years old, was working at the Richmond IHOP on Close Way when police say that a co-worker shot and killed him in a targeted attack. Later that day, the suspected shooter went to the San Pablo police station, but a language barrier prevented communication. Police say that he then walked away and shot himself outside the station. He remains in critical condition Investigators say the motive is unclear, and Garcia's family is still searching for answers themselves.
Our answers have not been met. Like, we don't know exactly what happened.
His sister-in-law tells us that Romario had only been working on the job about a month, still learning the routine and getting settled. It's a fact that's been hard to process as the family now grapples with how quickly everything changed.
I was the one helped him with his application, all the paperwork that was needed from headquarters, corporation. Everything was online, so I was the one that helped him and unfortunately found him that job.
And as they try to piece together what led to this tragedy, they want people to remember who Romario was. His mom describing him as a light.
Romario, he was a very humble man, very caring person. He never had any problems with anyone.
We did reach out to Richmond police for an update on the suspect's condition and any other developments with this case, but we have not heard back just yet. Still ahead, a renewed push for San Francisco to cut ties with PG&E.
What happened in San Francisco was completely unacceptable.
Come to the table and let's work this out as fast as possible.
How anger over widespread power outages could impact the future of the company and its customers. PG&E is sending a new message to San Francisco customers after last month's massive power outage that left so many communities in the dark. The utility says crews will spend the next week inspecting underground equipment in the city and using drones to check lines overhead, looking for any problems that could trigger another blackout. PG&E says it doesn't expect any new outages from the inspections and will try to limit traffic and neighborhood impacts. Now, this comes amid growing calls for the city to cut ties with PG&E. As customers continue to deal with the fallout from those blackouts, this is an effort that has been shut down before. I spoke to some of the people behind the renewed effort about why they hope this time is different. The idea is not new, but Christmas weekend 2025 brought new life to the idea of a San Francisco and PG&E divorce.
It is time to end San Francisco's relationship with PG&E and to have our own public utility.
State Senator and congressional candidate Scott Wiener proposed the idea in 2020. The bill never made it to a hearing, but he says he's planning to put forward new legislation that would allow for cities to break away from PG&E and form their own publicly owned utilities.
I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's going to be a huge fight to make PG&E publicly owned in San Francisco, but it's a fight that's worth having. Palo Alto has its own public utility. Sacramento has its own public utility. There are public utilities in the North Bay.
Although PG&E isn't the sole provider of gas and electricity in San Francisco, it manages the local distribution grid.
In terms of the city of San Francisco being able to create a true public utility and purchasing PG&E's assets to do that, that has been tough. PG&E has been fighting that for decades.
This system is not working. We need to change the system.
Gubernatorial candidate Tom Steyer also says the blackout is an example of why the status quo isn't sufficient anymore.
We need to get rid of the monopoly. Monopolies don't work.
Steyer would like to see better oversight and introduce more competition to the market so people could choose who their provider is.
Because if that happens, then all of a sudden, all the new technologies that are available right now will be adopted by somebody. And that will drive down the cost at which they can deliver electricity, which means everybody else is going to have to compete to drive down the cost of electricity.
To get a better understanding of what is possible, we went to Professor Severin Bornstein, the faculty director of UC Berkeley's Energy Institute at Haas.
PG&E is a gigantic service territory. In fact, it's about the same size as all of New England.
He says a divorce is logistically possible. However,
it would take many, many years, and it would be extremely expensive. PG&E would fight it, as they did with the creation of SMUD, the Sacramento Municipal Utility. That litigation went on for nearly a decade.
And even if that happens, a complete separation from PG&E is not likely.
Because PG&E would completely surround it, and they would be constantly buying and selling power to one another.
Depending on who you ask, though, the trouble could be worth it.
If they really think that the corporation, the investor-owned utility, is so incompetent, so badly run, that it can't be salvaged, then I think it does make sense to at least put pressure on them.
We requested an on-camera interview with PG&E. They provided a statement instead. A spokesperson told us, PG&E has served customers in San Francisco for more than 100 years, and we remain committed to serving San Franciscans for years to come. PG&E also told us it has invested $3 billion in San Francisco's electric grid over the last 20 years, and service in the city is almost twice as reliable as the national average. PG&E also announced this week that bills will be going down in 2026. The utility says a typical residential electric bill will decrease by about $7 per month. Natural gas bills will go down by about $1. It comes after PG&E's electrical rates increased by about 40% between 2022 and 2025 as the utility spent billions of dollars to improve grid safety after devastating wildfires in California. Coming up in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, a fire at a storage unit destroyed her priceless belongings. But now this single mom is trying to move forward with nothing but a suitcase left.
The firefighters deemed everything a total loss. I was just fully in shock.
It feels like they disappeared, like it's not real anymore.
Plus, what is covered and what's not in a new law meant to help the millions of Californians living with diabetes pay for treatment.
Your community, your news, powered by KPIX. CBS News Bay Area. Watch anywhere, anytime. Stay informed and connected. Trusted local news when you want it. CBS News Bay Area. Watch free on any device. You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Max Darrow. Here's another look at our news headlines on this Sunday. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife arrived in the United States last night after being captured by U.S. forces. The couple faces accusations of drug trafficking and working with gangs the U.S. has designated as terrorist organizations, claims Maduro has denied. He's now being held at a federal detention center in Brooklyn. According to legal analysts, Maduro could appear in court as soon as tomorrow. Starting today, Oakland's parking rules are changing. Meters will run citywide from noon to 6 p.m. on Sundays. You won't get a ticket right away if you break this rule because a 30-day warning period kicks in. But after that expires, citations for all violators. The goal is to boost parking turnover and help local businesses. Officials say this builds on past pilot programs with the same purpose, especially in busy spots like Lake Merritt. Despite the loss at Levi Stadium last night, the 49ers dropping the game to the Seahawks, fans say the Super Bowl dream lives on, with the playoffs now shifting to the road. A march is set for today across Golden Gate Bridge to show support for the team. Fans will meet at Equator Coffee in the Bridge Plaza, then march to the bridge halfway point and turn around and come back. It is a first alert weather day. Let's get another check of the forecast with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
We saw a lot of rain across the Bay Area over the past several days, and I want to take a look at some of their 24-hour rain totals because just in one day, they've been pretty impressive across a lot of the Bay Area. We'll start farther south, down near Monterey, Santa Cruz, Salinas. You saw anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch, kind of just depending on where you're located. Santa Cruz, definitely highest totals, about 1/2 of an inch. Farther inland and up across our inland East Bay communities, there was some nice, healthy totals. Concord, 0.61 inches. That was actually more than we saw here in San Francisco. Novato, 0.73 inches. Oakland actually saw more than that. So widespread, very, very healthy rain totals. Again, just over the past 24 hours, and these totals are only going to increase over the next 24 hours as more widespread rain is on the way. So let's take a look at what we can expect throughout the rest of this afternoon, because again, today, widespread rain is going to continue. If we take a look at the bottom right corner of the screen, look at the timestamp, basically all day, it's going to be raining. It's not until the evening hours that we're expecting most of the rain to eventually move out of our hair. just in time for dinner, honestly, for our North Bay and Peninsula communities. Inland East Bay might still be seeing a little bit of that activity lingering around, but it's going to be mostly dry throughout the later evening hours, but then overnight and into early tomorrow morning, more widespread rain will be heading our way. It's not going to be nearly as heavy tomorrow as today, but it's still going to be something, and it's still going to be impacting you if you have any outdoor plans. So an umbrella will be necessary Monday afternoon. By the evening hours, we'll be seeing quieting conditions, and by Tuesday and into Wednesday, a lot more sunshine, a lot drier weather will be on the way. Fantastic news for any outdoor plans this upcoming week. You just have to get through Monday to really actually be able to enjoy yourself. How much rain can we expect, though? Again, it will be coming in 2 waves, the first today, the second tomorrow. Total values, though, anywhere from an additional ½ of an inch across our Inland East Bay and North Bay communities to upwards of an inch to 3 inches the farther south you go, and the potential for Monterey to see 2 to 4 inches of rain over the next 24 hours. That is fantastic news. That is going to be a very, very healthy start to this new year when it comes to those rainfall totals. Winds today, nothing crazy, nothing to worry about. Tomorrow, they'll be a little bit breezier, 25 to 35 miles an hour as the end of that storm system moves through, and then everybody will be seeing quieter and drier conditions. In fact, just look at our rain chances after tomorrow. They are completely down to basically zero. There was at one point the potential for a little bit of rain on Wednesday, but that potential is lowered, and it doesn't look like we'll be seeing basically anything here in the Bay Area. An additional 1 to 1.5 feet of snow is possible on the highest elevations of the Sierra, about 1/2 foot on the lower elevations near Lake Tahoe. And even though we aren't going to be seeing anything when it comes to rain, when it comes to the Bay Area Wednesday and Thursday, the mountains could potentially see an additional 1/2 foot of snow on Wednesday from that storm system. So, hey, we'll be seeing basically all week long active weather in the Sierra. That is great news for all of you skiers and snowboarders, and enjoy the chilly weather while you can, because look at what happens by next week. Those temperatures warm up. San Francisco will be back into the mid to lower 60s by the time that we step out next week. So we have a ways to get through until then, but I want everyone to have something to look forward to when it comes to beautiful weather to get outdoors and enjoy yourself. The beautiful weather, though, not going to be coming for the next couple of days, though. You're still going to need that umbrella all the way through Monday.
It has been just over a week since this public storage building in Richmond caught fire on Christmas Eve, and we're now starting to hear from some of the people whose belongings were inside. Katie Nielsen talked with a single mom who says she lost much more than just her stuff.
That's it, really. It's kind of embarrassing. Yeah. I don't know what's in here.
Sarah Cruiser is talking about the one suitcase of clothes she has with her.
I hope we'll take it.
She's a single mom of a 6-year-old little boy and is between apartments, staying with a family friend.
Photos of my son, those are now gone.
So she basically put everything else she owns into a small storage unit at Public Storage in Richmond.
Really only kept everything that was so special. And I put it all there, and it was temporary, and I knew that.
Everything from family photos to mementos from when her son was little, then all her furniture and the majority of her clothes. It was all in storage. But just after midnight on Christmas Eve morning, the Public Storage building on Carlson Boulevard in Richmond caught fire. Firefighters battled the flames for most of the day. The roof ended up collapsing, and one firefighter was injured. Cruiser says she didn't find out about the fire until almost 5 days later.
Public Storage called me and said, the firefighters deemed everything a total loss, and I don't know, I just kept being like, what are you talking about? I was just fully in shock.
She says when she lost those irreplaceable items, it almost felt like her entire life was erased.
What will happen that I don't have these things to show him or anybody? It feels like they disappeared, like it's not real anymore.
She and a handful of other people who had items at the storage unit have turned to online crowdsource fundraising to try to replace the items they lost. Well, at least those that can be replaced.
I saw other people in the news and everything they lost, and I'm sure people are in much worse positions than I am. It just makes me think about how important community support is.
We reached out to Public Storage for comment, specifically to ask about what they were doing to support those impacted by this fire. We have not heard back yet. According to state officials, the average covered California customer will see their premium jump by 97% It's nearly double in 2026. And that is the average. For some, costs could more than triple. This comes as COVID-era federal health care tax credits expired on the 1st. Democrats and Republicans are still fighting over how to lower costs. While Congress searches for a solution, California plans to offer about $200 million in tax credits to low-income residents who don't qualify for Medi-Cal. The CDC says diabetes is an American epidemic, and a new law in California is aiming to help more people afford treatment. The American Diabetes Association says there are more than 3.5 million people living with the disease in California. As we mentioned, the new year brings a new law that caps the price of insulin in the state. Kara St. Cyr spoke with a man who says this is a game changer.
For 31 years, Matt Diamonds dreaded the cost of insulin.
For what my mom was making at the time, there's no way she could have afforded this.
The monthly payment started around $30 a vial when he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 1994.
I would use anywhere 2 to 3 vials a month.
Now the costs sit at more than $100 a month.
It's an involuntary hardship that's avoidable.
But the price is set to drop. Lawmakers capped insulin at $35 and pens, $11. The move is part of the CalRx initiative to lower the cost of prescription drugs.
There's immense relief. Everybody is so grateful.
But for Christine Falabelle, Director of State Government Affairs for the American Diabetes Association, this is a monumental feat.
People were rationing their insulin, not taking the amount that they need to be healthy. These changes are needed, and I think it will reflect in people just being healthier and more confident in taking care of their diabetes.
What the Senate bill allows people like me to do now is to go about my daily life.
Diamond says it's a great first step.
It's one thing to understand the problem. It's another thing to do something about it. It's very, very gratifying to see that something's been done.
The burden almost lifted.
Matt tells us he's advocating for prices of more life-saving items used by people with diabetes to also be capped. That includes pen needles and continuous glucose monitors. They're not covered under the new law just yet. Coming up next, Chinook salmon spawning in Northern California rivers that haven't seen them in decades.
I catch more fish with cameras than I do on a hook.
We'll meet the citizen scientists documenting their historic return when we come back.
Start your day with us and open your world.
Time to open up those windows and get this day started.
The power of CBS News.
It is a historic day in news.
Taking you around the globe, across the country.
With Federal, live, and
into your community.
To the South Bay, major changes.
And Bay Area weather from a whole new perspective.
Let's head underneath this cloud layer.
CBS News Bay Area's Morning Edition. Weekdays at 6 on KPIX.
A sign of resilience in the North Bay more than 8 years after the devastating Tubbs fire. The fire leveled communities in and around Santa Rosa. And among the many buildings destroyed in October of 2017, an iconic barn. But it's coming back to life one piece at a time. Kenny Choi spent time with the man behind this mission to find out more on why he's so dedicated to completing this project.
Plank by pine plank, the framing of a round barn emerges. From afar, the beams look like slender matchsticks. It's a project Ken Mulholt-Siebert has been working on for more than 8 years.
I mentioned it to a few people and they thought I was crazy, of course.
No forklifts, no hired help. He's an architect and winemaker trying to keep costs to a minimum.
It wasn't easy. I had to do it by hand. I would bring these trusses in here and then I would crank them up with a cable puller, and it was quite an operation.
Mulholt-Siebert is building a replica of the Fountain Grove round barn. He remembers seeing it from the freeway when visiting his grandfather in Santa Rosa.
It was really quite a landmark, especially when the grass was all green and the red stood against that. You just couldn't miss it.
That is until 2017, when the Tubbs fire raged and roared through parts of Santa Rosa.
This is where the fire kind of explosively jumped across the freeway,
destroying thousands of structures.
Embers came over this way and it was just like kind of artillery fire.
It consumed his family's home and also the original barn, which was about a mile away on a different property.
It was all burning as we was driving down the highway, and we could see the barn burning.
The barn was built in 1899, commissioned by Kanai Nagasawa, a pioneering Japanese immigrant, winemaker, and leader of a utopian community who became known as the Baron of Fountain Grove. Eric Stanley is a curator at the Museum of Sonoma County.
He was called the Great King of California in Japan, and there was, George Shima, who was the potato king of California. They were big, successful, agriculturalists who supported immigrants and their work. And so those are the stories that are important, that you don't want to be lost as things get wiped away from the landscape.
Here was this marker of their family's relationship to this property here, the Fountain Grove, and it was gone.
But from the ashes, Moholt Siebert's dream of building a replica was born, in part to honor the past. The Nagasawa family eventually lost its property because of California's alien land laws and was forced into World War II internment. Moholt Siebert recently invited Nagasawa's descendants to see the reconstruction, including Karen Ijiji Perkins.
It's our family, and it's my family's history, so it's important. And then the fact that he called us and wanted us to see it and make sure that we were okay with it. It was a very nice visit.
There's something about landmarks like that speak to the heart of a community and say that this is ours and this is who we are.
It's a part of Santa Rosa's history, in a way preserved through the resurrection of the round barn.
We're told the barn could be finished sometime this year. Moholt Siebert says the decision to build was easier when the original site of the barn became housing. He says people driving by on Old Redwood Highway will be able to see it on the hill when it's all done. For the first time in decades, Chinook salmon can swim freely up the Alameda Creek. The final fish barrier along the creek has been removed, completing a nearly quarter-century restoration project. And now people are seeing Chinook salmon spawning 20 miles upstream for the first time since the 50s. That's attracting a group of citizen scientists to the creek. Ryan Yamamoto spoke with the group, eager to capture the historic return.
On most days,
I get out here almost every sunset.
You'll find Dan Sarka and David Young,
usually once a day,
walking the trail to Alameda Creek, hoping to capture a little excitement.
I used to liken it to a kid in a candy factory, but it's better.
It is a treat.
What I'm looking for is any kind of movement.
That takes the focus and patience of a fisherman.
I catch more fish with cameras than I do on a hook.
Those fish, Chinook salmon, spotted in Fremont's Upper Alameda Creek for the first time in nearly 70 years.
The 9th time is what we got on video right there.
Oh, wow.
David even recorded this salmon jumping the weir.
I got the final leap. I have several leaps before that weren't successful, but the very last one, he leaped all the way across and made it by, a good 2 or 3 feet.
Underneath the Bart line is where you can begin to track the return of the salmon, where the Alameda County Water District built a massive piece of infrastructure that included a series of fish ladders to help with the migration of Pacific lamprey, steelhead, and of course, Chinook salmon.
And the unique thing about them is they're highly visible. They're big fish, they move under low flows, and so the public can see them readily. And they're just an enigmatic fish. They've been part of human evolution on the West Coast, and they are energizing for people.
I never get sick of talking about fish.
Jeff Miller with the Alameda Creek Alliance says it's not just what was built, but instead what was torn down, including a series of small dams and barriers over the past 24 years that opened up 20 miles of spawning habitat.
This is the first time that we know of since the 1950s that Chinook salmon can swim on their own, all the way up as far as they've gotten to the Snow Valley.
That had to blow your mind.
I called it epic.
An epic catch even for these two fishermen.
Total excitement to see those fish struggling to make it up into the watershed and Sunol and beyond. It's just a fabulous experience.
An experience that comes with photographic proof of the big one that didn't get away. And even if it did, Dan and David will be back for yet another day looking to capture a piece of Mother Nature.
If you plan to check out the salmon run for yourself, the Alameda County Water District is asking you to upload your photos to help provide additional information for scientists. We have that link on our website, kpix.com. Coming up, a discovery, a global search, and the couple of degrees of separation one man had to go through to return some property.
I got a message on WhatsApp saying, "Hey, Stu, I hear you might have my wallet." And I said, "I do. Where are you right now?"
How a man finally reconnected the wallet with its rightful owner. It's a story you won't want to miss. We've all felt the shock. You realize you misplaced something, whether it be your phone, your wallet, your keys, you name it. And when that happens, most of us immediately try to retrace our steps in hopes of finding it. And that can almost be impossible, though, when you're in a city as big as San Francisco. However, as Lorene Ayub shows us, sometimes the key is the kindness of a stranger.
It was just another day for Bay Area photographer Stu Berman. Capturing Golden Gate Bridge beauty while out on a trail, he stumbled upon something unexpected.
On the way back up the trail towards my car, I saw a wallet on the ground, and I picked it up and looked at it and recognized the person in the wallet as someone I had passed about 20-30 minutes before.
And so began a new mission for Stu: find the owner of the wallet. Seeing a Vietnamese ID inside the wallet, he began using social media to attempt to locate him. He discovered that he worked at VNG Games, but could not reach him online. That is, until he connected with an old friend who shared a fun fact.
I was like, "You lived in Vietnam?" And she's like, "I did. Do you speak Vietnamese?" I don't, but I know people who do. So I proceeded to tell her the whole wallet saga, including VNG Games. And she said, "I think I know somebody who works at VNG Games."
And finally, the fog began to clear. His friend's friend in Vietnam knew the owner and connected them while he was still in town.
I got a message on WhatsApp saying, "Hey, Stu, I hear you might have my wallet." And I said, "I do. Where are you right now?"
And so finally, a clear perspective emerged. The two connected, and Stu happily delivered the lost wallet. It's a gesture of kindness which he says is absolutely necessary in today's social climate.
There is so much anger and violence in the world right now. And I feel like I can feel helpless at times. And yet I feel like if I can try and change my little corner of the world just a little bit and make it a little bit brighter, and that inspires somebody else to do the same, then hallelujah.
Because sometimes the most powerful images aren't just the ones we capture, but the way we change how others see the world.
Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Max Darrow. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories.